ESPN's silence on this matter kind of shows me they're indifferent about whether there's a season or not. They think that they can just throw something else in that time slot. They're not too much to lose if there's no WNBA season.
ESPN's silence is deafening. We're 2 months away from a potential WNBA lockout, and the network that broadcasts every game that has millions invested in the league's success isn't saying a word. Stephen A. Smith? Silent. First Take? Nothing. Colin Cowherd? Not a syllable. Compare that to how they'd react if the NBA was facing a lockout 2 months before tip-off. They'd be running wall-to-wall coverage, applying public pressure, forcing negotiations forward. So why the complete radio silence on the WNBA?
Not one bit. Let's get right into it. Please like the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. We have a former Major League Baseball executive sending out a warning to the WNBA players. The league's not going to take this. If there is a deal that is proposed that does not favor the league, that does not benefit the league is not going to take this. The owners need to, the players need to understand that. The players need to realize that. The owners aren't going to take this deal.
That's the question nobody in mainstream sports media wants to answer, because the answer reveals something uncomfortable about where this league actually stands right now. Former Miami Marlins president David Samson just went on record with a warning that should terrify every player in the WNBA Players Association. He's seen these negotiations before. He knows how ownership thinks, and what he's saying is this: the owners have all the leverage. The players are making demands that don't align with business reality, and if a deal gets done, it's only happening on ownership's terms. Not through compromise, through capitulation.
Strike or compromise on their end. They need to take the deal. The owners have the advantage. And by strike, he means the players strike and they just bleed out of money and they come back to the table and accept the deal. Quote, will there be a compromise at the 11th hour? You certainly would like to think so, but a compromise that is not weighted toward the owners is not going to happen.
Let's break down what Samson actually said, because this isn't just opinion from some random analyst. This is a former MLB executive who's been in the room during these exact negotiations. He said the players need to take the deal, that the owners have the advantage, and that any compromise that isn't weighted heavily toward ownership simply isn't going to happen. Now, the Players Association recently lowered their revenue sharing request from what some reports claimed was as high as 50% down to an average of 27.5% of gross revenue. They're calling this movement, calling this compromise. Samson's response: that's still not remotely close to acceptable.
Dwindled. The owners see that. The players are stuck in their own little balloon, their own little bubble. They think it's all roses and daisies outside still. The owners see a different picture. They see the Caitlin Clark picture and the everybody else picture. The one stimulus package, Caitlin Clark. It's only going to come around once in a lifetime. This is the one time, because 30 years proved it's not coming.
Here's where it gets interesting. Nneka Ogwumike, the Players Association president, has been talking about those earlier numbers, 50%, 40%, like they were real starting positions. But here's the thing, those numbers were never officially reported by major outlets covering these negotiations. Not by ESPN, not by The Athletic, not by anyone with actual sources inside the talks. So either the players were making demands so absurd that even their media allies wouldn't report them, or Ogwumike is retroactively creating higher numbers to make their current 27.5% demand look reasonable by comparison. Neither option is good, because going from an absurd demand to a slightly less absurd demand doesn't make the second demand reasonable. If I ask you for $1 million, then come back and say, okay, fine, just give me $500,000, I haven't suddenly become rational. I'm still wildly disconnected from reality.
They want something that they're not entitled to. Still, the latest counter proposal from the Players Union reflects movement. The Players Association lowered its revenue sharing request to an average of roughly 27.5% of gross league revenue, beginning at 25% in year one, alongside a proposed salary cap below $9.5 million. That marks a significant step down from the union's earlier ask of 31% gross with a $10.5 million cap. Now, I'm going to say this because I did hear about Nneka Ogwumike and the 50% and the 40%. Let's just have two separate thoughts.
And that disconnect is exactly what Samson is highlighting. The Players Association keeps pointing to one-time revenue events and demanding they be counted as ongoing income. Expansion fees from new franchises? One-time money. Relocation fees when teams move cities? One-time money. Signing bonuses from broadcast partners? One-time money. None of that is recurring revenue that can support permanent salary increases. Samson put it bluntly. The more the players demand that owners count these one-time events as part of ongoing revenue calculations, the more he guarantees there will not be a deal. Because no business operates that way. You don't give someone a permanent raise because you had a good month.
One update. Oh, well, Alexa Philippou, she missed that one update. Oh, the convenient update that makes the players look like they came down 10 to 20%, depending on what number you listen to. We just happened to miss that update. If it was updated, link it below in the comment section. I'll take a look. Ownership projections indicate the union's proposal could result in approximately $460 million in cumulative losses across the life of the agreement, which continues to be the major reason why a deal still seems some distance away. Under the league's framework, the 2026 salary cap would jump to roughly $5.65 million, a dramatic rise from about $1.5 in 2025.
Let's look at the actual numbers the league has put on the table, because this is where you see just how far apart these two sides really are. Under the owner's framework, the salary cap in 2026 would jump to roughly $5.65 million per team. That's up from about $1.5 million in 2025. We're talking about a nearly 400% increase in team salary cap in 1 year. The maximum individual salary would go from $249,000 to $1.3 million in 2026, potentially reaching $2 million by 2031. Average salary would quadruple, and the players are saying that's not enough. The ownership projections show that even with these massive increases, the players' current proposal would result in approximately $460 million in cumulative losses across the life of the agreement. $460 million in losses. For a league that's never turned a profit in its 28-year history.
Compromise. Not ask for, okay, well, they said no to 27.5%. What about 26, owners? What about 26? 26? Going once, going twice? Oh, damn. They shot that down too. All right, they shot down 26. All right. What about 25? 25 going once, no? Oh man, that's not moving the needle. That's not moving the needle. Let's just say the owners are willing to budge a little bit. You need to come down to like sub 20% maybe. Maybe you could.
Now here's what makes ESPN's silence so revealing. If this was the NBA, if this was a league that actually moved the needle for their bottom line, they'd be all over this story. They'd be pressuring both sides. They'd be running countdown clocks. They'd have their biggest personalities weighing in daily, creating urgency, forcing movement. The fact that they're not doing any of that tells you everything about how they actually view the WNBA's value to their network. They think they can just throw something else in that time slot. They're not worried about losing WNBA games, because despite all the Caitlin Clark hype from last season, the numbers don't justify panic.
Do you not find it odd that ESPN is quiet about this? WNBA, after the big boom, Caitlin Clark only plays in 13 games, misses the whole entire second season damn near, and now we're about to get a lockout and no one's talking about it? Not even a company that has invested interest in the league succeeding? And they're not even talking about it? Interesting.
And that brings us to the core issue. The players don't seem to understand. The Caitlin Clark effect was real, but it was also a one-time stimulus package. You don't get a generational talent like that every year. You don't get someone who can actually move ratings and attendance numbers the way she did in her rookie season. The league existed for 27 years before Caitlin Clark showed up, and in those 27 years, it never came close to financial sustainability. Now she's missing her entire second season with an ankle injury, and we're right back to where we started. The owners see that reality clearly. They see that the excitement has already started to fade. They see that the ratings bump was tied to one specific player, not to some fundamental shift in public interest. They see that most of the league still can't draw crowds or television viewers, and they're making business decisions based on that reality, not based on the inflated expectations that one magical rookie season created. So when David Samson says the players need to compromise, he's not being harsh, he's being realistic. When he says any deal that gets done will be weighted toward ownership, he's not predicting, he's observing. The leverage is entirely on one side. The players can strike, sure, they can refuse to play, and then what happens? They run out of money in a few months and come back to accept whatever deal is on the table. The owners can wait, the players can't. That's not opinion, that's just math. The Players Association needs to understand something fundamental. You don't negotiate from a position of strength when your league loses money every single year. You don't demand 50% of revenue when there is no profit to share. You don't point to one exceptional season driven by one exceptional player and pretend that's the new normal. That's not how business works. That's not how any of this works. And the fact that ESPN, a network with massive financial interest in the WNBA's success, isn't even bothering to cover these negotiations, that should tell the players everything they need to know about their leverage. When your broadcast partner doesn't care if you play or not, you're not in a strong negotiating position. The players have a choice to make. They can accept reality, take a deal that represents massive salary increases even if it's not everything they want, and play basketball. Or they can hold out for demands that will never be met, watch the season get canceled, lose months of paychecks they can't afford to lose, and eventually come back to accept a worse deal than what's on the table right now. David Samson has seen this movie before. He knows how it ends. The only question is whether the players will figure it out before they cost themselves a season, or whether they'll have to learn the hard way that leverage matters more than righteousness in business negotiations. So here's my question for you. Are the players right to hold out for more, or are they about to make a catastrophic miscalculation that sets the league back years? Because from where I'm sitting, ESPN's silence is telling us exactly what the networks think this league is worth. And it's not what the players want to hear. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.